Alright, we considered the problem of mass transfer into a foam bed reactor, and we proceeded with some structural features of foam, and I wanted to go in a phenomenological fashion such that you understand what is happening in the reactor first. So, we now understand that in a reactor of this sort, we would be passing air continuously at the required temperature of 75 degrees centigrade, and it would be saturated with water vapor by bubbling it through a saturator and a preheater, which would be a short bubble column or maybe packed bubble column filled with water and maintained at roughly about 75 degrees centigrade. And when this air passes through continuously and the reactor attains a steady state, which means temperature and flow rate everywhere becomes constant, doesn't vary with time. In that empty reactor, we pour in the solution of sodium sulphide Na2S containing a known concentration of a surfactant. Okay. And as soon as we have this layer of liquid here, which is storage section through which the air bubbles emerge, they form a layer of foam, and then the next layer, etc. So, the whole empty column will be filled up with foam, and the foam would attain certain height, which would be determined by how the drainage of this aqueous solution has occurred through the column. And while these polyhedral foam bubbles are moving to the top, the associated liquid films will keep draining their content because of action of gravity, and that liquid will come down. So, we have these two flows: flow upward of liquid, which is carried by the gas or air moving upwards, and the liquid moving downward because of action of gravity. And at steady state, a hydrodynamic steady state, we would have the two balancing each other. So, if capital Q represents the flow rate of liquid going up, then it should be the same flow rate of liquid coming down. Okay. Now, second part was, along with this continuous drainage by action of gravity, we consider what would happen to the bubbles at the top. Those bubbles are surrounded by unstable films which have thinned down, and then they start breaking at the top. So, when the film breaks, the air inside the bubble will be released, which goes up, and the liquid which has burst out of that bubble by breakage of those films, that liquid also comes down. So, one of the questions we could consider is about how that liquid will come down. I think I had asked you a similar question in context of a packed bed, and you people had understood that it would be the peripheral region through which the liquid will flow down. But here the whole problem is different. Now, you do not have any packings. Instead of packings, we have air, that is a gas on either side, and liquid film is sandwiched between these foam bubbles, adjacent foam bubbles. Okay. And now there is no solid, liquid will have to come down through the space already occupied by liquid. And the only region you see liquid now will be in the films surrounding these bubbles. So, the first question will arise, how will this liquid flow down? And I gave you that visualization to think about. Supposing I took a portion of this liquid at the storage level, say 5 ml, and colored it with a red ink, and then I dropped it at the top of the foam. So, in a transparent foam, I have released about 5 ml of this red ink solution. Rest of the properties are same except color. I had asked you to visualize how that liquid will flow down. One possible answer which might come to your mind is that it will come through liquid everywhere around, present around in foam, and in which case we should be able to see all of foam getting colored, and this colored portion gradually expanding towards the bottom. That would have been one possible answer coming to your mind. However, it is here that you come to a couple of very interesting facts. I have been referring to soap bubbles you played with. Have you ever seen a colored soap bubble? suppose I were to take that soap solution and put the red ink in it. So, the solution is colored, and if I make a foam bubble or soap bubble out of it, would it be colored? I do not know whether I am expanding your childhood experience with foam far too much. It turns out that until about 4 or 5 years back, ever since children started playing with soap bubbles in the history, no one ever succeeded in making a colored soap film or colored soap bubble. And that was about that time, about 4 or 5 years back, a group of researchers managed to create soap bubbles which are colored, and they had to do it using a smart fact from chemistry which is related to ring opening phenomenon, which allows the soap film around the soap bubble to be colored, but it required extraordinary effort in order to do that. So, it is clear now from this fact that if I release this colored ink solution from the top containing surfactant, otherwise composition is identical as the solution here. So, that there are no variations of properties. It could contain that Na2S also. I could take 5 ml from here itself, just add the ink and then put it at the top. It will not be able to make all foam colored, because we know that these soap bubbles cannot be colored by ordinary phenomena. You require special chemistry effort there. However, yeah, absolutely. So, if you take a soap bubble, you would see that it drains liquid, right, by action of gravity. You see a drop forming at the bottom, that would be colored, that could be colored. Okay. So, clearly now I will bring you back to the, anyway, you visualize that curvilinear triangle I had drawn, which was Plato border. That Plato border was the region where 3 films met together in an edge. So, it turns out that the pressure which is at the center of that Plato border is less than the pressure in the flatter regions of films. There are 3 films meeting together in that curvilinear region, which is like a pipe without wall, surface of which will be occupied by surface active molecules, adsorbed surface active molecules, and we can prove that the pressure at the center of that Plato border is less than in the flatter region within the films, and it could be easily shown using Laplace-Young equation, which is basically delta p is equal to 2 gamma by r, where gamma is surface tension and r is the radius of curvature. So, if you look at a point within the bubble and a point within the flat region of the film, you are able to visualize that. Okay. Then, because flat region will have radius of curvature infinity, which means 2 gamma by infinity is 0. So, delta p is 0, which means within the bubble and within the point in the flat region of the film, the pressure will be equal. Okay. Whereas, if you take the same point within the bubble and a point at the center, you are having this curved meniscus, okay, which has a finite radius of curvature. Now, delta p between the point within the bubble and point in the center of the Plato border will be delta p equal to 2 gamma by a finite radius of curvature, which means delta p is positive. That means the pressure at the center of Plato border is less than the pressure within the bubble, which is same as pressure in the flat region of film. So, that means now in the flat region of film, the pressure is larger than in the center of the Plato border. So, there is a pressure gradient from the flat region of film towards the center of the Plato border. Okay. Now, if you pour liquid at the top and it uniformly is spread over all foam, so pressure within the bubble, suppose it is P1, okay. Pressure within the film, flat region of film is P2, and pressure at the center of Plato border is P3. You get that notation? Then P1 minus P2 is equal to 2 gamma by radius of curvature of flat region, which is infinity, that is 2 gamma by infinity, which is 0. So, P1 must minus P2 is equal to 0. So, P1 must be equal to P2. Clear? If you take now P1 minus P3, P1 minus P3 will be 2 gamma by radius of curvature r, which is now finite. This curvature is there, so that means radius of curvature is finite. So P1 minus P2 is equal to 2 gamma by a finite quantity, and 2 gamma by that finite quantity is a positive quantity, which means P1 is in excess of P3 by this amount 2 gamma by r. But P1 was equal to P2. If P1 is greater than P3, that means P2 is greater than P3, because P1 and P2 are equal. They are actually polyhedral, but we are idealizing them as regular pentagonal dodecahedra. If we model it in our model, in the structural idealization, they are flat films. In reality, the bubbles are polyhedral, that means they have flat surfaces and curved edges actually, and we are now talking of how the liquid put in actual foam would flow. We are trying to answer that question. When you take a regular pentagonal model, then actually there will be there is a little fuzziness. I told you that it does not fill up structure completely. Suppose you put cubes, then edges will be in contact with edges, right? But in the polyhedra, which are modeled as pentagonal dodecahedra, they do not fill up space completely. So even if we have ideal foam structure, we will have space which is not filled up. So that will be filled up by the liquid. That is what we said, because that void is about 3% and typical volume fraction of liquid in foam is 3%, right. So even in that idealization, we will have to think of Plato borders and films where the liquid will reside. But by and large, our larger question was to estimate the area, which we have no means of estimating otherwise unless we go for this idealization, because not all bubbles are of same size, they do not have the same shape. The polyhedra are made with different number of faces, each face may have different number of sides. So real problem otherwise is intractable, we can't solve it. Okay. So we need that idealization. Now is that clear? Okay. So we just seen that the pressure in the center of Plato border will be lower than pressure in the flat region of liquid film. So if you release this liquid on top, that liquid will see either films or these Plato borders, and liquid will always take the path of least resistance. So it will go through the Plato borders, not through the films. And Plato borders are all interconnected. There is a network of Plato borders, 4 Plato borders meeting at a point at tetrahedral angle, that is what I said. That same thing is valid in reality. So liquid will percolate through these edges, not through the flat regions of films, because that is a region where pressure is higher. Okay. So when you do this experiment, and I would encourage you to play with soap bubbles even now, you would see that this red liquid or whatever colored solution that is flowing down, it will flow down only through those network of Plato borders. Okay. Whereas the liquid is being taken up both in the form of Plato borders and films, the flatter region, because that is bodily moving as a plug. Okay. Now our larger question was to answer a question, the aspect about how much absorption can take place in such a reactor. So one could split that question into 2 parts. Some way estimate how much of this oxygen will dissolve into foam liquid, and most of the area, it turns out, is in the flat regions, because Plato borders are very thin. So if we could estimate the total area of the films through the model and separately account for the diffusional phenomenon with reaction in the films, we should be able to estimate the rate of absorption. But our larger goal was to find conversion here in this liquid pool. Okay. So I will show you a little idealization to give you a bigger picture and then come to details. Liquid has become continuous phase. It is in contrast to packed bed, similar picture. there also it was liquid present as films only, but on one side it was facing air, on the other side it was facing solid. Now, where the solid was, the packing was, now we have air bubbles. So, in that case also, if you visualize, if the packings were all in contact, the liquid will, and liquid weights all the packing, liquid will be continuous, okay. And there might be places where the gas is not left with any space, but has to form maybe streaking jets or bubbles through the liquid bridges. So, situation could be similar, but to a greater extent you could expect continuity of both the phases there. Here there is a clear cut distinction, it is only liquid which is continuous, gas is all in the form of these isolated bubbles. So, gas is dispersed phase. It is not exactly analogous, but what it is similar, and it roughly helps me transition from the packed bed which I had introduced you to the foams. So, it is a smoother transition, right. It is not exactly same obviously, because you do not know where the liquid might not form bridges, and in which case suppose liquid does not form bridge anywhere, it flows in the form of very thin film, leaving space for gas to flow through. Then if you imagine the solid were replaced by gas, approximately, almost approximately same, except the geometrical difference in the areas and whatever might be difference because of these bridges, those areas will be doubled in foam. It turns out that the foam offers much larger area, because there is one more aspect. When you take these packings, you could have smaller areas, because if the packings are tending towards spheres, then the area is minimal, whereas in foam you have the polyhedral bubbles. So, the area is comparatively larger, and yet in a foam system surface tension will act towards minimizing the area. Okay, now there are these many fine details, but I hope I will be able to explain to you. When you take this foam column and you look at liquid content, volume fraction of liquid, that is volume of liquid per volume, as you go from bottom to the top, what do you expect? It should decrease, right. A priori we do not know how liquid holdup will decrease with height, okay. But experiments have revealed that for relatively inviscid systems like aqueous solutions, the liquid hold up very sharply near the interface and then becomes almost constant, okay. Major variation in liquid hold up happens near the interface between the storage section, that liquid pool, and foam section. And when you actually observe this, you would see the bubbles are more or less spherical, slightly distorted spherical, while they are in the liquid pool, which is maybe 4-5 centimeters in height or even shorter. But as soon as the bubbles come through the liquid surface, they get distorted, they become polyhedral. So, that is where we say foam section begins, okay. The bubbles are like normal bubbles rising through liquid until you have this storage section predominantly liquid in excess of about 87% or more is the liquid volume. As soon as the bubbles emerge out of this and enter, become the part of the surface, they start getting distorted and you have polyhedral bubbles. You can see that experiment, okay. And now from this interface of storage section within and foam section, if you start measuring the height and liquid holdup, it turns out the liquid holdup sharply drops. Within few centimeters, it drops to nearly constant value. So, that would permit us to imagine that entire foam section has a uniform liquid holdup at the average value. Suppose we can make that assumption, then we can basically split our reactor into this storage section which is liquid, predominantly liquid, and foam section which is predominantly gas. So, the actual foam column can be represented by these two boxes, storage section where liquid is and foam section where foam is. Across the storage section, we will have liquid coming in at flow rate Q continuously, and it leaves continuously at the same flow rate. I explained to you a semi batch operation, but you could have the liquid flowing in a cross fashion across the reactor, across the storage section continuously at a flow rate of this capital Q. Can you see this? Inlet concentration of sodium sulphide may be Cb0. Okay. Presuming that this storage section, because of vigorous sparging of air, is completely mixed, it would have certain concentration Cb, same as the outgoing concentration. Okay. So, the liquid enters with flow rate Q and inlet concentration Cb0, it leaves with flow rate Q and a smaller concentration Cb, which may be time dependent. And we would want to know how that Cb here is varying with time within the storage section if we want to explain the performance of this reactor. Okay. Now, what is happening? This is communicating, this storage liquid is communicating with foam section, it is sending out bubbles to foam section. Along with the air bubbles, liquid is going into the foam section from storage section. Supposing the liquid flow rate upward is Q1, capital Q subscript 1 is the flow rate of liquid going along with the foam into the foam section from storage section. Within the storage section, we can say the liquid hold up is average liquid hold up. At the top of foam section, the gas bubbles burst out, the air goes out, liquid is released, and that liquid together with whatever is draining by action of gravity will return back to the storage section. At a hydrodynamic steady state, the flow rate of liquid going into foam and returning from foam must be equal. So, this Q1 is same as this Q1. However, it is possible that the liquid which is going with the films will go at a concentration Cb same as the outgoing concentration here on account of well mixedness assumption. This now becomes locked up in the foam. We will now here make one more assumption. The assumption is that even though gravity drainage is continuously draining the liquid from foam section to storage section, we will presume that the liquid gets kind of immobilized in foam, gets locked up into foam until it reaches the top, and there all of it is returned. In a sense, I am making approximation that continuous gravity drainage and the breakage of foam associated with liquid released by ruptured films, all is taken in a flow rate together at the same rate Q1, and this will flow through the network of Plato borders. In the return path, it will not come in contact with gas because the area of Plato borders is small compared to liquid films. Okay. So, if these assumptions are clear, they are reasonable assumptions, then we should be able to use this one stage model of foam bed reactor to predict the concentration here as a function of time by writing the material balance. Okay. We still have lot of difficulties. For example, the bigger question is what is this concentration Cb1? That is actually central to answering the original question, how the conversions in the reactor will happen. Okay. Now, along with the through the Plato borders, and actually speaking, films and Plato borders are one. We are artificially distinguishing these two regions because of the fact that the flow is through the edges. So far, everything clear? So, let us look at this overall material balance. You need to look at this equation. Let me first explain the terminology, the notation. The V you see here is the volume of liquid in the storage section just above the distributor plate. That is the volume of the sodium sulphide solution. Okay. Cb, I repeat, is the concentration in the storage section, which is presumably well mixed because of the sparging of air. When you have this air bubbling through, you see in aquarium also the water gets mixed up. Now, this is a short column of water or solution, it gets mixed up. So, this is a reasonable assumption, that is the concentration there. The same concentration is going out with this flow rate Q, which is across the storage section. Flow rate liquid or this sodium sulphide solution comes at Q, goes out at Q. So, it is going out at Q with the same concentration which is inside. Okay. And it comes in at this flow rate and this concentration. Cb0 is the inlet concentration or initial concentration as the sodium sulphide solution continuously enter the storage section. So, that is the inlet concentration, this is the Cb0 is inlet concentration, Cb is outlet concentration. So, this is the amount which is coming in, and this is the amount which is going out along with this cross flow. Okay. And Q1 is the flow rate of liquid going into foam section and returning back into the storage section, because they also have to be same, whatever is going up has to come down. Okay. So, what is entering the foam section from storage section is at flow rate Q1 and concentration Cb. Whatever is exiting the storage will have the same concentration. So, Q1 Cb is the amount of sodium sulphide which is entering the foam section from the storage section, and Q1 Cb1 is the amount of sodium sulphide which is returning from foam section back into the storage section, because at the end of this foam section we say the film start with concentration Cb, they get locked up in foam for a certain time Tc star, and the concentration of sodium sulphide will diminish. So, lower concentration Cb1 will be returning back. Okay. Now, this balance is nothing but same thing as accumulation equal to input minus output, but written in the negative sense. I am writing minus V dCb by dt. I am expecting there will not be change in volume of the storage section. If we have steady state, same flow comes in and goes out, same flow goes out and comes in, right. Even if let us say solution is concentrated, here the volume change in the liquid phase is unlikely to be very large. That is for the liquid part. Okay. But if it is the gas which is concentrated, then possibly there will be substantial amount of absorption, and in that case not only there would be change in the flow rate of the gas, flow rate of the liquid entering the foam section and returning, but also because it will be concentrated vapor in the bubble, the bubbles might actually shrink. In one of the asymptotic cases, we presume that the gas is pure. Suppose the gas is pure, liquid is concentrated, then so much absorption can happen that the bubbles will actually shrink. So, there will be possibly change in the structure of foam, but that is a far cry yet. Let us first understand the simplest situation. So, it is a relatively low concentration, like oxygen in air. If you take about 21%, sodium sulphide concentrations not very large, you will not have much change in the bubble volume, right. Sodium sulphide is plenty, but there is not enough of oxygen to make a difference in the total mass so much, and oxygen solubility in water, even with reaction with sodium sulphide, it will not be very alarming. Okay. There are two things. I can see the source of your confusion. When we talk of steady state here, please remember distinctly, very clearly, we are talking of steady state with respect to hydrodynamics, okay, which means the flow rates are same. Whatever is entering at Q, whatever is leaving is leaving at flow rate Q. Whatever is entering the foam section is Q1, whatever is returning from foam section is Q1. So, the flow rates are equal, that is why V will be equal, okay. And absorption per se is not making any change in the volume, okay. This is one. But with respect to the concentration of sodium sulphide, this is a reactor, okay. You want the reactant concentration to drop, you want conversion, okay. So, in general we will expect concentration of B to be changing with time, and that is the reason we retained this d by dt of Cb. You can have steady state with respect to mass transfer and reaction also, and this term can be 0, okay, in which case you will need to have all of these balancing. So, whatever is coming in which is Q times Cb0 and Q1 Cb1 will have to be balanced by this. Okay. And you must have noticed here that I have written this as depletion rate. So, it is output minus input, right. So, this is an output for the storage section because it is entering foam section, and this is the output, which is entering the foam section, this is the output to the foam section, this is the output with respect to the flow. So, this is the net output, total output, this is the input across, and this is the input coming from the foam section. Okay. So, it is written as output minus input, all outputs minus all inputs is equal to rate of depletion. So, you would have noticed now second thing, I did not write any reaction term here, and one might ask the question, why not? I do not have any separate reaction term here. There is an assumption which is backed by certain calculations which shows that the reaction of oxygen and sodium sulphide, overall reaction, is actually fast, which means if the reaction is fast, the concentration of dissolved A in this liquid would be very low, negligible, if the reaction is fast. If the reaction were very slow, the liquid will be almost becoming saturated with the solute. Take this same example, suppose sodium sulphide is not there. You do an experiment in which only water is taken and you are bubbling air through this, foam forms, but oxygen upon dissolution has nothing to react with, and oxygen solubility in water is not very high. So, in that case the water would become saturated with oxygen practically, and we will have dissolved oxygen concentration measurable. But because we have sodium sulphide which rapidly reacts with oxygen, the concentration of oxygen in dissolved form will be practically 0. Okay. So, if there is no concentration of oxygen in this volume, there is nothing there to react. Get this? What would happen to the oxygen which is dissolving into foam? That is the next question. Oxygen will keep dissolving and diffusing into foam from bottom to the top of foam section, and by the time the foam films rupture, all that is dissolved would be reacted. So, in the returning liquid, for this fast reaction we do not expect any dissolved oxygen. Whatever dissolves and diffuses into the films would be reacted. So, which means we do not have to really make a material balance for oxygen on this scale. We need it now in the foam section. How much is absorbed, that has to be analyzed, and then we could use stoichiometry to relate it to the amount of sodium sulphide reacted per time. That incidentally will be required in getting this concentration Cb1, which is lower than Cb, and both Cb and Cb1 could be varying with time. Okay, this is the simpler part of the reactor analysis. We have written just the material balance under the assumption of fast reaction, hydrodynamic steady state, and we left one question unanswered, that is everything is known. Cb0 is known, Q is known, Q1 can be related to the gas flow rate. I will show shortly how it can be. Cb is what we want to determine. Okay. What is not known now and which is the onus now is getting this Cb1. And what is Cb1? Cb1 is the concentration of sodium sulphide when the foam films rupture at the top. If we know how much is the concentration at the beginning of the film, and we know how much gas is absorbed in time Tc star, which is the time of contact in the foam section, stoichiometrically we could determine Cb1 from amount of oxygen absorbed. Okay. If that picture is clear to you, you will realize now the harder part comes as to how to get the amount of oxygen dissolving and diffusing into foam per time total, and that is a total mess because we have no idea what are the bubble sizes and shapes and what kind of polygons are making the films, how many sides are there, what the areas are, nothing is known. That is where we need that structural idealization, that the foam bubbles are regular pentagonal dodecahedra. Okay. And it turns out that this problem gets reduced almost down to the same level as where we left before beginning this discussion on foam bed reactors. We bring it down to solution of a diffusion equation together with a chemical reaction within foam films, and it suffices to analyze only one film or even half a film, and then we can generate the entire picture for the foam section. So, addressing that part of estimating gas absorption in the foam section will require a sub model, and that merits logically a separate discussion. So, we will defer it to the next lecture. Okay. We have couple of minutes. All of you, whatever the questions may be, can ask me. I would want to take all of you along. I know the population is already dwindled, most people are absent today. I do not know whether it is the discouraging effect of my lectures or Deepavali attraction or combination of both. But those of you who are present, I would want to take you through every step here, because this is, I think, very important. If you understand this, this will give you a whole lot different confidence. And once again I repeat, even if you have not understood anything, you can still ask questions, because that is the only way you can understand. So, that much I can be open to. D is Na2S, yeah, because you can't see anything which is there to react. The only way the reaction will be seen is in terms of enhancing the rate of absorption in foam section. Suppose the oxygen is dissolving from bubble into a foam film, normally it would have a flatter concentration profile, but if reaction is there, the concentration will drop sharper, so the gradients will be sharper, so the fluxes will be higher. That is the way, and that sharpening of the gradients will be seen in similar fashion as you had done in the first problem. That was steady state problem, here it will be unsteady state, and there was a reaction included there, there would be reaction here also. And I repeat, no question is silly, please remember. So, I am open to the possibility that you have not understood anything, most of you have not understood anything, and you still can understand everything. So, I assure you that that will be achieved. You feel free to ask me questions, if not here, at my office, anytime, on the road, wherever you meet, provided you really want to learn. Okay? We will stop here.